Hi everyone, welcome to Hack Mankind, www.hackmankind.com. I don't know why I tell you that, just by the fact you're watching it means you're already here. I'm here with Ed today, our health panelist, who's going to talk about how vague and indecision can lead to some rather concerning behaviours. Ed.
Imprecision, but indecision too, I'm sure, but that's not what I wanted to talk about today. So the habits that lead to the results that we actually want are areas in our life where we have a lot of what we call prediction and response. We can predict what's going to happen, or all of the multiples of things that might happen, and we know how we're going to respond to each of them. So we have specific, precise, exact responses to the environment, and those are the areas that we excel. And then those areas where, let's say, we have habits that result in us not wanting the result are the areas in which that we are most vague and imprecise.
So can you give us an example? So when you said specific, I'm thinking a conditioned response, which might be slightly different to the subject, but my example would be: person runs out in front of me while I'm driving, I slam on my brake, tick. That's a good response to that stimulus.
Absolutely, and accelerating might be a bad one.
Accelerating might be a bad one. What would be an example of a vague response, or a vagary that led to a response?
Look, let's look at a good day. Okay, so someone comes home from work and they say to their partner, "I had a really good day today," and they say, "Okay, why was that?" And hopefully, in reverse, you could say some of the things that have happened. But at the start of the day, if we all just mentally say to ourselves, I want to have a good day today, unless we go or say, okay, so what has to happen in order to have a good day, then it's vague and imprecise. It's a hope. So we can get to the end of the day and the odds aren't on us having had a good day, right? Because we weren't able to take specific actions in order to create a good day. But if you were to sit down and say, these exact things happen on a good day that I have control over, then you're infinitely more likely to create a good day rather than just hoping for a good day. Because when we hope for a good day and we don't get a good day, we kind of reinforce ourselves that we don't have good days.
One of the amazing things what you said is how highly personal it is, because I watched an experiment once. Experiment's a big word. Tony Robbins took 10 people and asked them if they were happy with their career. And various people said yes, various people said no. And when asked why, they gave an outline and a reason. So one of the big ones that showed up was one person said, "I'm really happy with my career because I know what I'm doing every day. When I wake up, I've got a very specific plan and I'm great at what I do and I get value from that." And another person stood up and said, "I'm not at all happy with my career. I have a very predictable day that, yes, I excel at and I know what I'm doing, but I don't see the growth and progression that would light me up." And his point was that if your reality matches your blueprint, then you will be, in his words, happy, which I think relates to this. But what I found so interesting was both those people were describing the same day, essentially the same year, the same week, the same month, but because their internal blueprint of what was a good career was different, both of them then perceived it differently. So the reason you couldn't give me a good example when I said, "Can you give me something specific?" is because something specific and vague to you might be something very different for somebody else. Right? For that person to say, "I had a good day," it would have to match their blueprint of what a good day is. And to have the blueprint, you need to not be vague. So it kind of all encapsulates in the same place. That makes a lot of sense. And that applies, I guess, not just to, I'm saying career, but food, exercise, it applies across the board.
Exactly. So good day might be a really big thing, but we don't tend to have them for all of the areas of our lives, right? So I mean, conversations that I've had with clients today is, I want to be a good CEO. I want to be a good parent. I want to be a good partner. And it's like, okay, so what does that mean? Because at the moment you're basing your performance on the happiness of other people, right? Which means that every single time you change an action, it's going to be based on, does this create happiness in this other person, right? Which is never going to be a good thing, because if you move something and they get happier, you're going to think that it was the thing that you moved that made them happier, and there's no, that's not necessarily going to be true. So what we need to do in the area of health is we need to go, okay, so what is a good night's sleep? Can I define what, if good night's sleep is the objective, what does that mean? And what things do I do in my life that cause bad night's sleep? And what things do I do that cause good night's sleep? And now, what are these actions that I'm going to do to tailor good night's sleep? So now I have what's called a clear prediction and response. It's like, oh, I'm about to do that thing that causes me a good night's sleep, or I'm about to do that thing that causes me a bad night's sleep. So it gives more clarity, rather than good night's sleep or bad night's sleep just being side effects. They're now things that we're deliberately creating or deliberately avoiding.
So what, I understand that, and I get that, and I'm fortunate enough to be relatively educated in the different areas of my health. But how can someone take that away and use it if they don't understand what equals a good and bad night's sleep?
Because everybody already has a frame of reference. There is nobody alive who hasn't had a good night's sleep at some point. And there were things that they did to create it.
But they might not be aware of the relevance of things. Like, for example, most people are now aware of what I believe is science. I don't think it's pseudoscience, of what blue light does to you close to bedtime. But you may have known that 5-10 years ago, Ed, but most people have only got an awareness of that over the last 2 years. All right, it's my hypothesis that most people have only got awareness since Apple and PC started actually, when your iPhone went into dark night mode. That's, I think, what caused it to enter psyche. So that's where I'm just struggling with. Someone says, okay, I had a good night's sleep last Friday, but I don't know if they would be able to say what they did led to that.
No, but they would be able to say what they did.
Okay, so they can take what they did, take that, and then experiment with that and see if that's replicatable.
Yes, and they'd probably be able to narrow it down. Okay, so let's say that nobody in the world knows what the best diet is. True?
Yeah.
Some people might get much closer. Also true? So let's start here. Which is better for you, Mars bar or broccoli?
Well, my obvious answer would be broccoli, because if it didn't come out of a field, salt water, or breathe at some point, it's not really food.
Sure, but you could maybe be able to put the why down. But can we agree that almost everyone on the planet might come back with broccoli?
Yeah.
And do you think we could do that with, let's say, we could move someone's current diet to being several hundred percentages better? Wow, I didn't construct that sentence well. Infinitely better by playing that game.
Yes, I agree with that.
So you could probably improve every area of someone's life by playing that game, by being willing to whittle it down to, do you think that highly stimulating television program that you watch before bed is better than the low stimulating? When we started this Hack Mankind project, there was an awful lot of talk from me, I think, and many others, I'm sure, about the news, right? And the news being this constant update of the same thing, convincing brains that they were actually watching various things rather than just being, hey, by the way, there's a pandemic. Hey, by the way, there's a pandemic. And the brain goes, wow, there's been 27 pandemics today. And that creates uncertainty. But we might be able to narrow that down and go, do you think watching the uncertainty of the news before bed will make your sleep better or worse? Because as soon as you've defined what you're doing, you can then define what would be better or what would be worse.
Okay,
and
so I think that's a really important distinction here that I'm glad I asked these questions, because I didn't know what I was aiming at. And by you talking about it, I do now know what I'm aiming at. So what you said, Ed, was, and I can't remember the other word because I used the wrong word in the intro, but I'm going to stick with vague. What we're talking about here is not actually the right conclusion. It's just making a conclusion, right? You didn't actually say the correct blueprint. You just said a specific blueprint, because once you've done that, you can then test it yourself and you start. So I think that's really important. So if someone's sitting here going, yeah, but I don't know, well, it doesn't matter. Start with 5 outcomes. And even if you do believe that Mars bars are more healthy than broccoli, put that on your list. And if you therefore then feel healthier, hey, write to me and Ed and tell us the secret of Mars bars over broccoli. Right? But it doesn't really, I think that's what you're saying. It doesn't really matter what the blueprint is, but get the blueprint down and then you can finesse it.
Absolutely. You cannot improve from vague because it isn't a place. Whereas specific is a place that you can test and improve from, and it is going to be wrong. There is no way in the world that the thing that you choose to be specific about will be right as defined as the best thing. It's just not ever going to happen because it doesn't really exist in terms of health. But as soon as you get specific, you can start getting better.
Makes a lot of sense. Perfect. I don't think we have much more to add. Any final thoughts?
No, I mean, the acronym that I use is define the thing. What does good night's sleep, good health, good energy, whatever it is, define it and its exact meaning. And then what is the opposite and what stuff do you do that takes you away from its opposite? And then align, what stuff would you be doing if you were in alignment with your definition? Test, revisit.
You might need to work on that. You might need to change some of those letters around. Align is the one that's begging to become something else, so you get like dot or something. But we'll stick with it for the moment. Define, opposite, align. Brilliant. Ed, thank you so much. Everyone out there, you've been listening to Peter Swain and Ed Lay. Ed is our peak performance coach and health panelist for www.hackmankind.com. And we look forward to seeing you in another video. Thanks, Ed.
Thank you.